We'll find out if any characters decide to jump down any holes following my character and breaking their legs and earning me a reprimand then.
Because it was entirely not your fault.
Hold on.
Blameless.
You're blaming Tavish for this.
Just remember,
I did not name any names, so just saying.
just remember, Bonnet followed you, but she's the only one that never got a reprimand.
Because
Because
you
she did it
looked
smartly.
where you leapt. You made the extra effort of, hey, Matt, can I do this? Look where I'm going. Wow, sense!
The funny part is, I used a trait that's supposed to be for starships.
I know technically we were using a starship-related talent, but I thought, you know what? The only person showing any kind of forethought at the possibility of the consequences of their actions. Let's look where we're leaping first.
Hold on.
You just plot a course through unknown territory. Jumping through a hole is unknown.
Hold on.
Holding on.
I think I've got another science project in mind, and Connie's gonna love it.
Knee braces?
Oh.
No. Anti-grav boots.
Yes, they already do those, dear boy. Star Trek 5.
I was thinking Tavish was gonna make bionic legs for themselves.
Yeah.
I mean that
Shock,
could work.
some shock absorbent
Ooh.
pads in the bottom of your soles, feet.
Oh, hold on. Bionic legs.
Dear Lord.
Tavish is becoming more boring by the minute.
It's less than becoming more and more, but well, thank you. The long fall boots. Yes, there you go. See, somebody's already made it.
Oh no, that's Aperture Science. Not quite
Look.
the same.
Well, you know, cross-franchise references at all, we'll have to assume.
Look, the Borg wish they were as perfect as Tavish.
We all
And,
just have a moment of silence
Neshlel.
to appreciate the ludicrousness of that statement.
That's why I said it.
Let's pause a moment and just think. Yeah, you crazy. They're still contemplating it. We're still there, just going, you know what, could we? Could we? I mean, do the Borg have shock-absorbent boots? I don't think they do. Yeah. Missing a treat there.
No.
Do the Borg jump and do parkour? I don't think they do.
You know what? I can't wait until me and Nilo take over a Borg cube.
Oh, is that where we're aspiring to? Right, okay. We are going to 7 of 9 that shizzle. I get you. Okay, then. If it was good enough for the blonde, it's good enough for the redhead. Okay.
Look, I don't know who this
7 of 9 is, yeah. Gotcha.
Never met her.
I was about to say something stupid there. You will. But I may be promising a little more than I can deliver at the moment. So, Discord is playing Silly Buggers 1 moment. Okay, no problemski.
Oh no, I'm here.
There you are. I've come into this situation late. My pardon. Alright. And for those who are also coming into the situation late, yes, we will be starting in a moment after this silly shenanigans finish. So we'll be probably starting in about an hour and a half time.
Yep. That sounds reasonable.
In the there's nothing reasonable about this show. In the meantime, I will ask you all to come with us to the intro video, and we will be back in a couple of moments. Excuse us, folks. We'll be right back. Hello, folks, and welcome along to the continuing adventures of the USS Combs. I am MJ the GM, and I will be your games master for the next couple of hours, and with me are the crew of the USS Combs.
Hello. Why am I the only one who ever says hello?
Because you're the polite one.
It's
So-
funnier that way.
Hello! But then they think, he's just on the very British hello type of intro, so we can't follow that, so, you know.
Actually, there's just the one player who's very good at mimicry.
I've actually employed Jeffrey Combs himself, who was doing different voices as well as different characters. In fact, I might be Jeffrey Combs. Let me remove my face mask. It's not coming off. Never mind, that's later. Yeah, you know how I said that we might actually start coherently in the next couple of minutes? Well, that's being less and less likely as these moments drag on. In any case, most of us who are here are actually here to continue on the second part of our story, which we started about 2 weeks ago. This is a special three-parter, so we have hit the middle episode. Is it going to be our Empire Strikes Back as I hit another cross-franchise reference? Let's hope not, for these guys' sake. I certainly don't have anything like Darth Vader to pull out of my butt in this case, but, and that's a mental image I don't want to inflict on the rest of you, so let me move on really quickly.
What's happened to the rest of the crew? We've got Suffolk Condom and I haven't.
Yes! Well, we'll get to that in just a moment, won't we?
No.
Because if we cast our minds back to last episode, the crew of the USS Combs had been given shore leave. Because we are currently still under the effects of the Federation Klingon War, and Dr. Sott, Combs' chief medical officer, has determined that the crew of the Combs have started to show signs of stress and exhaustion as a result of being in one conflict after another. And so, exercising his right as chief medical officer, he requested shore leave for the entire crew of the Combs and was allowed to. So, the crew of the Combs have put into a non-aligned world called Hefner Bay, in the system of Hefner Bay, and went down to the colony city of Hefner Bay. Needless to say, the people of Hefner Bay appear to be largely unimaginative folks, but hey, we won't hold that against them. Their entertainment facilities are apparently second to some. However, whilst at Hefner Bay, a Klingon ship meandered into the system, trailing Tetrions, which the crew of the Combs thought was rather suspicious, and so decided to have a look at where this trail of Tetrions and slight gravitons was actually coming from that this Klingon ship had trailed in from the outer edge of the system. And so a little chase ensued, where the Combs tried finding out what it was that the Klingon ship was so keen to get to first, whereupon we found an aperture, a hole, a vortex in space. And the Klingons were doing their damnedest to try and eliminate the ring of debris around this strange hole in space. And at last blush, the Combs had managed to determine that in amongst the wreckage of the whatever it was, what appeared to be a ship around the aperture in space, were bodies. Klingon bodies. And so, we ended the episode, more or less, if I recall, with the Combs and the Klingon ship being caught in a gravitational pull. A very violent one. Being pulled off into this vortex. But yes, as has been just pointed out to me, there was also some weird stuff going on. Some people started having, well, I suppose you could call them flashbacks of a sort. Going back into periods of their own history, some people seeing apparitions that weren't there as soon as they turned a corner. Lots of strange stuff was going on. But the main thrust of where we begin this episode is that the crew of the Combs now start coming back into consciousness after having lost it and find themselves, well, here. As we can see, Deck 1, the bridge, is a shambles. Not only shall it be a shambles, I'm going to put on some alert sounds. So the majority of characters are unconscious, knocked around more than likely by the gravitational disturbances that shook them around inside of the ship like a ping-pong ball in a can. So most people are now starting to come back to consciousness, finding themselves slumped on the floor after either coming away from the chairs that are in front of their consoles, or worse, having been thrown bodily over their consoles onto the floor. And so we begin this episode with Bonnet, Phlesc, and Captain Sobek, at the very least, on the bridge, starting to come to consciousness. Gerkow, at the moment, is still suffering the after effects of some kind of presence that was trying to apparently make contact with her mentally. And Gerkow very bravely opened herself up to this communication from another mind from somewhere else, and it overwhelmed her brain to such a point that she fell unconscious. So Gerkow is not stirring to consciousness as of yet, but Captain Sobek at least starts getting up, as does Bonnet, the helm officer, as does Phlesc, the operations officer. At which point you find that the power is mostly down. Obviously not all of the power is down, because you still have, for the moment, gravity and air, suggesting that life support at the very least is still operational. But consoles are dark, there is smoke and some small fires, there are sparks, there is shattered glass, and there's smoke. So something obviously very bad has happened to the ship. And so, where would we like to start?
Phlesc is going to grab a fire extinguisher and just run around trying to put out fires.
Oh,
Bonnie's gonna go try to help people.
okay,
Try to wake them up.
Ralph,
And...
your communications officer, seems to have suffered a minor bump. But otherwise,
so
when
Dr.
Bonnet
Sott,
got up to them...
He's about.
Dr. Sott is about. Dr. Sott was last in sickbay. We will get to sickbay before long, do not worry. Same goes for
and
engineering.
Then he'll go to she'll go to Counselor Zax.
And find that Councillor Sachs cannot be awoken. It looks like she bumped her head pretty badly. She's bleeding.
She's gonna head over to Ensign Aversion
Okay, he is conscious. You can bring him around.
and be like, Aversion, help Dr. Sachs.
Yes, sir, yeah, sir. Wait, yes, you're higher rank than me, aren't you? Yes, sir. As he stumbles
By
around,
one.
he looks like he's hit his head. He's not entirely sure of where he is. He's a bit concussed.
He's
maybe.
awake. He's more awake than...
He's more
Gerkow.
awake than some are. Yes, absolutely.
And then she'll head to this guy.
Now, one of the engineers who tends to the engineering overlay console at the back, it looks like the console exploded in his face, poor chap. He's
Ew.
very thoroughly dead.
And then she'll come over to Dufresne.
Okay. Dufresne may have bumped into the wall. She looks like she's got a bruise along her cheek, maybe a fracture, you don't know, but other than that, she comes around easily enough. Now, Phlesc.
Yeah.
Phlesc can try putting out some fires, but it seems there's a lot of electrical fires. I like that we can do the sound effect of a fire extinguisher textually. But
And then the last
Phlesc,
person to attack on is
beg your pardon.
Zhang.
Yes, Lian Zhang, she's got propelled out of her seat at high velocity. Not as hardy as a Vulcan, so she's Bonnet is having a bit of a troubling time trying to get Zhang to come around. When Phlesc gets up to the tactical console, you find it quite a mess. It looks like the tactical console exploded from what behind the tactical officer. So that explains why Gerkow is over here rather than behind his station. Ensign Akos is also there. It looks like he might have intercepted Gerkow as he flew through the air. Gerkow does not look good. Sobek, trying to help Bonnet bring Zhang around, looks over towards your communications officer, Ensign Ravelon. Ensign, damage report. As your communications officer still looks a bit woozy, but starts trying to access his console. And thus, it seems communications are still active. And as a result, he gives the following appraisal of your situation, if I can just find the codes. Damage reports coming in now, Captain. As he's listening into the reports, we're getting reports, shield emitters 1 through 9 damaged. Sounds like we have a hull breach on deck 7. Warp engine core injector access damaged. I'm also getting reports of damage on deck 3. Photon torpedo magazine damaged. I'm not getting much of a report from engineering, but from other reports coming in from other decks, it seems main power is offline. We appear to be functioning on maybe emergency power only. No indication of impulse or thruster, or helm or navigation. We're currently dead in the water, Captain. Zhang starts coming to, groggily. Oh, who hit the brakes far too hard? I'm gonna blame Bonnet.
Hey. She was trying to go in the opposite direction, okay?
Were your
If
hands not on the steering wheel at the time we came to a rather abrupt stop?
No, it was... She's gonna play the blame on the commander. No. It was definitely Jake.
In that case, I absolve you of all of your crimes against the con. And would ask for someone to please turn those alarms off, because I have a hangover the likes of which you cannot appreciate. Either that or I hit my head. Or both.
It was both. Definitely both.
Okay, good. Nice to know that I'm still mixing it up in my age. First person to make a comment about my age, I'm gonna slap.
All she will see is Bonnie open her mouth and then immediately close it.
What is Commander Gerkow's status? Asks Captain Sobek. Dufresne answers, currently still unresponsive, Captain. Lieutenant Dufresne, I need you to take Commander Gerkow down to sickbay immediately. Eversion, take Councillor Sachs. Commander Phlesc, if you managed to get anything out of Ensign Akos.
He's conscious. He's a bit bruised up. We could do with
Yeah, Akos gets
Medical
to
team.
all three of his feet. Commander Phlesc, I need you here on the bridge for the moment as my senior ops officer. Ensign Akos, take Lieutenant Gerkow down to sickbay. Well, don't just stand there, all three of you. Get! So, we're gonna have those guys. Those guys.
What about the poor engineer?
What about the poor engineer?
Flesh just steps around him. Can I start doing repairs to main power? And whilst doing it,
Yo.
Can I ask a very serious question?
Of course.
Was the engineer killed by a hyperspanner?
No.
Oh, thank God.
Phlesc can attribute that the console was very much exploded in his face.
Should we remove this poor chap from the bridge?
Yes, please. There should be... even Sobek seems like he's taken a blow to the head. He's a bit woozy. So any casualties in the mess hall for now? Which should be this room over here. We'll have to take care of them properly later. Well, unfortunately, yes, he did die of natural causes. His heart stopped after he more than likely bled out from severe lacerations to the face and throat. So, yeah, that's as natural causes as you get. Phlesc using his repair team leader. Okay, what that essentially means is that you are using comms to try and get a handle on repair teams.
Yep,
But
and
you are currently on the bridge. Repair teams are more than likely down in engineering where they are stationed. So, what was it we were going to say, Mark?
Oh, I was just going to chuck a few of my medals at it so I can get it to work, but if I'm stuck not doing anything, never mind.
Yes, because at the moment you've got a completely inoperative console up here. Because the whole thing went kaboom. So at the moment,
Can I repair
it's
the console
coordination.
Coordination, okay.
So, damage control tends to be a presence and command type of task anyway, so by all means you can use that in order to create the advantage of repair teams.
Okay. At a stretch, is persuasion a viable focus?
I would say yes.
Cool.
Because you can use, you know, a sense of urgency to your to your words to convey the seriousness of the situation, and therefore they should immediately respond.
Right, presence and command. Come on, repair team. Do.
One success. Okay,
Ah.
so the difficulty with the fact that the ship is rather stricken at the moment, it seems, means that there is an awful lot of comm chatter going on. Poor Ensign Ravalon, your communications officer, is trying to sort everything, but trying to get repair teams active and moving at the moment seems to be a bit of a problem, which suggests something is wrong in main engineering. See how I segued into that? What a pro. So, down to engineering we go. Deck 11. Lieutenant Commander Tavish is picking herself... actually, no. Is firmly unconscious. Therefore is blacked out. But somewhere in her... in the fuzzy reaches of her semi-conscious mind, she can hear.
Accessing battery. Commencing overload. Initiating neural shock in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
At which point, Tavish gets a sudden electrical jolt, which brings her rather immediately somewhat painfully to life. Not to life, to consciousness. Nihil just shocked your brain awake.
Thank you, Nyla. Oh my god.
You have a little bit of a headache, but then you notice Nihil doesn't respond.
Hello. Nyla. Alright, checking to see if I still got the my USB port.
Yeah, feeling around on your head because there was an occasion recently where Tavish found herself in the past where she didn't have a neural link. Yes, the port is still there. Feels a little hot.
Okay. Alright. Nyla's offline. I can't do anything about that at the moment. Alarms are going off. I'm gonna go and check on my engineering team.
Yep, several folks are sporting injuries, mostly from being thrown around. There are sparks coming from consoles. There's the smell of smoke from a few. Heat of some electrical fires. Folks are slowly getting themselves back to their feet.
Everybody, get up.
Yep. The warp core is quiet.
Oh. Okay. I'm gonna go and check down on the warp core. I'm gonna shout to the rest of my team. I want a damage assessment for engineering as soon as possible. I also want someone to go around putting out the fires. And I want someone to also start on at least repairs while I have a look at the warp core.
Okay, so whilst Tavish is throwing around these orders, you hear a familiar voice, Commander Phlesc, over the communications, asking for repair teams to look at to answer various decks. Were there any places in particular that Phlesc was calling attention towards, Mark?
The warp core and main power.
Alrighty. So yeah, that gives Tavish herself a clue that something is rather badly wrong here. Now this is where Tavish gets to use that talent, I know my ship.
Yeah, I haven't used it ever.
No, you haven't. You get to use it. So, whenever you attempt a task to determine the source of a technical problem with your ship, the first bonus d20 you purchase is free. So you can roll 3 dice for this without having to buy any from Momentum, which is just as well because this is a new episode, and therefore you do not have any Momentum.
Okay. I knew this will come in handy at some point.
There you go. See?
Okay, if I'm trying to find out, is it reason and engineering?
Yes. Please.
And am I doing
warp engines will do,
or...
power systems will also apply, so any of the above will do.
Okay. So I'm using the focus. I am rolling 3 dice.
The higher ones, but 3 successes overall. Nice. You get an extra. You get a momentum to the pool. All right. This is not good. Looking around the core, what you notice is that there is a crack in the intermix chamber. Thankfully, it seems, it's caused an immediate power outage, which suggests that the safety system's engaged, meaning that those old safety systems that you had put in that in the event of something catastrophic happen would kill the power and kill the antimatter reaction inside of the core immediately, in order to make sure that things didn't go splode. But yes, it seems a number of things have happened. So there is some kind of crack, albeit not entirely visible to the naked eye, but there is a structural weakness now in the intermix chamber. Not only that, but you're getting a readout on your engineering tricorder which suggests a certain amount of structural shift has happened. Essentially, the whole ship's superstructure got rocked by something, and it's caused perhaps some hull buckling, maybe even some hull twisting. So things that really shouldn't have moved. As such, things are slightly out of their housings by even a couple of centimeters, which, considering the delicate processes that go on within a warp core and such power systems, not a great thing.
Question for you.
Of course.
With the superstructure moving, then and things being out aligned, the warp, getting the warp engine fixed. Well, not fixed, but getting it
Running. Yep.
up and running will be really difficult with the superstructure moved.
Yes, it won't be easy, certainly.
Okay. Tavish, Phlesc.
Let's go.
Warp engines are down. Superstructure has taken a massive knock, and things are not aligned. There's also a crack in one of the parts of the warp engine. I have no idea how long it's going to take me to get the warp engines back up or even power.
Which takes us nicely back to deck 1. Because this appraisal suggests that you are on emergency power at the moment. So Phlesc, interrogating the ship's power readout, notices that even reserve power is offline at the moment. So you are more than likely on emergency battery systems for now. How long that lasts? Well, you've got hours.
Okay. Well, then we want to get reserve power and the warp core safe. So, to buy us more time, can we get reserve power back online?
You can try. I am going
Yep.
to bring Tavish, at least Tavish's token, onto the bridge here, just so for ease of whatever, so that we can have both Phlesc and Tavish work together to try and bring reserve power back online at least. Let's get some more momentum going here. And after this, we will get to the what's going on in sickbay. So I haven't forgotten about you, Chris. Don't worry. So first things first, power management. We are trying to restore power. So let's see. Reserve power. Diddly 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 dee. Requires the reserve power major action, which I don't quite recall. That's tactical. Where's ops? Sensor operations. Operations. Regain power. So this is going to be control and engineering.
Okay, and I will be using that previously tagged repair team leader. So if we succeed, we can spend 2 bonus momentum. In order to get that bonus momentum, I'm going to use a star cross, my last one.
Ooh. Well, this is technically the start of a new episode. So talents that were used in the previous episode can now be used again.
Okay, I'm using my first star cross.
So if you have done like Mark did, where you put notches next to the talent to show how many you've used, then feel free to go through your character's talents and de-notch them.
And then Starfleet Medal of Honor. So that will give the bonus 2 momentum for me to instantly fix that breach.
Yes,
Matt,
Dave.
is this an extended task?
Not for the moment, no. This is an immediate task.
Okay.
Okay, and I also have Maintenance Specialist that I can ignore the first complication on any roll. And then Ops Manager. What does that do? Can't read it. Whenever you.
So whenever you create a trait representing a piece of equipment.
Yeah, it's not gonna really count.
No.
And then I'm also going to just chuck in everything at this because I want to get it fixed. I will spend a determination as well.
Ooh, blimey.
And that will be Desperation breeds inspiration to fix the ship.
Remember to make a note of it in your personal log. This now counts as episode 29.
Episode 29.
So you were using your value of Desperation breeds. Desperation breeds inspiration. I was going to say insanity, but you know, column A, column B.
Okay, so this will be engineering and daring control.
Control and engineering.
Control and engineering.
Cool.
I've got 1 dice. You're the
I'm the lead.
main. Yep.
Absolutely, dude.
Using focus, using dedicated focus. I've just ticked all the boxes.
Yeah. So remember to roll 1 dice less. Because the determination is replacing one of your dice. Ooh,
we don't-
hello.
We ignore that because it's because of my trait.
Maintenance specialist, okay. Tavish is having a hard time down in engineering, bless her.
I'm actually going to steal that momentum then and roll 2 dice plus the determination.
Really, really wants reserve power back.
Boosh!
Wait, whoa. Roll that in. 1, 2, 3.
I got the 20,
4.
so Mark could succeed.
Yeah.
And because of that success, we get 2 bonus momentum that have to be used instantly. I want that to fix the breach on, was it deck 3?
So you're directing by momentarily throwing reserve power back into the ship. You are looking to the deck 3. Yes, you're throwing power into the structural integrity field on deck 3 because, well, as it turns out, yes, your torpedo magazine is on deck 3. So let me reinforce that with the photon torpedo magazine. So the storage for your photon torpedoes is in deck 3, and the magazine is damaged. So the sooner someone gets to fixing that before the ammunition cache of your torpedoes goes up is a very, very good thing. Okay, so good news, bad news. The good news is that beyond all shadow of a doubt, you're able to pull power from the reserve systems in order to bring reserve power back online. So both of you feel very yay, although in Tavish's case it's like yay, ow my frickin' head. And what the hell am I going to do about this crack in the intermix chamber? Whilst Phlesc is very much more celebratory. It's like, yes, we've got reserve power back, thank goodness. Sees power levels start to creep back up again. And then notices they're very slowly creeping down. You have a leak somewhere in the power system. It's draining it. Not fast, but the levels are gradually going down. And before we get close to that particular problem, let us take a walk down to deck 5. So, as you can imagine, Dr. Sott and his sickbay team are rather busy. The moment Dr. Sott and Nurse Uro picked themselves up, with the emergency medical hologram essentially yelling in their ears to get up, they found themselves to have suffered only knocks and bruises, so they're able to get up and around. But needless to say, people have started swarming in from different parts of the ship. And the other bad news is you don't have all that much power for your sickbay systems. So your biobeds at the moment are on emergency battery power. Reserve power eventually kicks back in, of course, but that means that Dr. Sott and his team are operating on a technological deficit, let's say, making the job a little bit harder. You have had Councillor Sachs, Lieutenant Garrow, and Commander Gerkow brought down, who, as senior command officers, jump to the start of the queue, really. You've got less injured people down here, and you've got other folks who are waiting at the door to be seen. One poor fellow had to be essentially just laid out on the floor, because he's at the moment stable but unconscious, which meant that he had to be essentially put down on the floor to wait for somebody to be able to see to him. In the meantime, Dr. Sott has got Commander Gerkow to see to.
Right, so, put some ice on it. Best I can do.
Well, this is weird, because she doesn't seem to have suffered an injury, and as such you're getting readings from her brain that she's suffered some kind of neural shock. So her brainwaves are that of an unconscious person, as if the lights were suddenly switched off. Now, ordinarily, you might use a cortical stimulator to essentially shock her nervous system back into operation again. But what with emergency power now being a thing, you're not exactly sure if you want... Well, it's up to you. Do you want to risk depleting the sickbay's emergency power by using a cortical shock to bring Gerkow around, or do you want to try a different method?
What alternatives are there? We could try the shock treatment first, I suppose. Give it a whirl, see what happens.
Yeah, so essentially the shock treatment is the easiest one to do, but it will perhaps cost the sickbay system's power. If you want to make life a little difficult for yourself, and therefore not drag on sickbay's power, you could try an alternative method like anything from drugs or trying to come up with something on the fly. What with Dr. Sott's immense medical knowledge? Depends how you want to go.
I mean, I guess I can try the established thing first, and then, if that doesn't work, I can try sort of improvising.
Cool. In which case, can I get you to give me a control and medicine check using your emergency medicine focus? One success? Okay, that'll do. Gerkow comes woozily back to consciousness after a cortical shock brings her around. Connie, needless to say, Gerkow has got one hell of a headache.
Ooh.
The last thing Gerkow remembers is allowing this other consciousness to make contact with her. And what Gerkow got was a sensation of a mix of surprise, joy, and expectation from this other consciousness. But that was what happened afterwards was a very, very big flash of pain in the brain, essentially, and that's all that Gerkow remembers.
Oh, what happened? What am I doing here? I don't know why I'm ghostly.
Ooh. Well, the place is all dark. Maybe you were adding to the mood. Yeah, so Dr. Sott can't make much head or tail. It looks like, to Dr. Sott at least, that Gerkow's brain got a massive dump of energy put into it, at which point her brain went, yeah, sorry, this is too much, and protected itself by turning itself off. Having shocked Gerkow back into consciousness, you do have your science officer now back at more or less full readiness, but like I said, headache.
Oh, can we capture the energy waves that my brain was exhibiting and identify what it was that knocked me, well, overloaded my brain?
Interesting. Okay. This is not going to be easy, so I'm going to whap this up to a difficulty 4 check, but I can allow Dr. Sott and Commander Gerkow to cooperatively attempt this check.
Mm-hmm.
So, let me think. I will allow Gerkow to come at this from a reason and medicine using xenobiology, and as far as Dr. Sott goes, keep the emergency medicine for now. You can decide between each of you, but I think it's more than likely going to be Dr. Sott that's going to be leading this. Unless, of course, Connie, you want to take advantage of the fact that there's 5 momentum in the pool, and you can take one to have done the reading.
Oh yes, I'm gonna do some reading. Presumably I'm going to justify it with like something psychical.
Yeah.
Happened.
Yeah, you have Betazoid members on the crew. We've established. I mean, she's over there on a bed, while the other one is seeing to Garrow. So you're certainly aware of telepathic species and how such things should work. So I'm good with that.
I'll do that then. In that case, let's see.
So we're going to need 2 dice using reason and medicine from Dr. Sott, 1 dice, unless you're buying more, for Gerkow using reason and medicine.
It is always using a focus as well, like emergency medicine.
Yes.
Cool.
And my did the reading also applies as a.
Oh, hello.
Wow.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm still woozy.
Yes.
Oh.
So Dr. Sott rattles off all of this this medicine speak. Gerkow is just there smiling and nodding, going, yeah, didn't understand a word, don't care. I hurt. Fix me. So, yeah, wow, 4 successes. I said it was going to be... Did I say 4? Or 3? I think I said 4.
I think 4.
So you hit the nail right on the head. Interesting. Okay, then, in that case... Gerkow... Yeah. Knowledge of such things, somewhat limited. But Dr. Sott has treated telepathic species before, therefore does recognize that part of Gerkow's brain, which seems to have lit up the highest during your initial scans of her unconscious conscious brain, did suggest that the initial point of contact was in a part of the brain that tends to be the bit that telepaths project into. If I can just remember what it is on humans. Nope, the biological term is actually gone. No, I'll have to look that up later. Nevertheless, what intrigues Dr. Sott the most is that there are tiny residual tetrions signatures in there. Not enough tetrion radiation to be lethal in any way to Gerkow's brain or nervous system, but there are definitely teeny tiny traces of this subspace radiation. Nevertheless, Gerkow is now conscious, physically fit enough to go back to duty, and therefore Dr. Sott can start to see more patients, especially since they are queuing at the door. So Gerkow is now perfectly able to resume duty back on the bridge. So unless there's anything specific you want to do, Chris, as Dr. Sott?
No, I think I'm okay for now. My character's just going to sort of like, just auto-heal in the background.
Yeah, so he's busy. He's going to be very, very busy. So Sott, the EMH, or the EMD, and Nurse Uro are going to be... They've got a conveyor belt of patients coming in now, so you're going to be working round the clock until all this is done. So at the moment, we have got a ship that is only now on emergency battery and reserve power, but it seems reserve power is leaking somewhat. Tavish has got the unenviable task of trying to patch a crack in the intermix chamber, which is still possible. Not going to be easy, but still possible. So just to remind folks... So we have seen to the problem with Deck 3. That's no longer a thing. You still have shield grids 1 through 9 are damaged. You have a hull breach on Deck 7. Turns out that that hull breach on Deck 7 has meant that the warp engine core injector access has been damaged. You've got that crack in the warp core with the intermix chamber breach. Impulse and thrusters are offline. Helm and navigational systems are out. Well, where would you like to start, folks?
The reserve power leak?
The reserve power leak. Okay. Once again, we can have Tavish and Phlesc do this together, and Bonnet can even join in on this if she wishes, since she has foci for electroplasma power systems. You have enough momentum in the pool, certainly, to add someone extra to it.
Worth doing. So I've got parent figure.
Yes.
I know. No. I still have maintenance specialists.
Yes, you do.
So, do those complement each other? No. It's one or the other, so I ignore one complication per task with both of those. Might have to switch one of them out. Anyway, cool.
Liz, you with us?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Does Bonnet want to join in on this, attempting to find the power leak problem? Or is she content to do her own thing at the moment?
I mean, she's kind of really wants helm controls operational. She kind of feels useless.
Okay.
Hence why I ask about electroplasma power systems, but if she's going to try and work on getting helm control back, then that's fine. We'll get to that in a moment.
Cool.
Gerkow makes her way back onto the bridge.
I'll push whatever buttons you need me to.
I'm going to use I Know My Ship again to find out where this problem is.
Right, yeah. Cool. So you get a free dice, but you still are limited to 5 dice, remember, so...
Cool.
I'm...
Go on, Dave.
Go on, Mark.
Oh, that's a phone call I need to take. I'm really sorry. You carry on.
Okay. What were you going to say, Dave?
I was going to ask Mark if he wanted me to be lead on this.
Probably do with that, perhaps, yes.
Okay. Power systems. There's a focus.
Okay, no problem, Mark. Thank you for telling me. In that case, Connie, since you haven't had much to do rolling-wise yet, I'm going to ask you to take command of Commander Phlesc.
Okay.
We're looking to try and diagnose the power problems, so that's probably going to be reason and engineering with his power systems focus.
Am I doing reason and engineering too?
Yes, please.
Okie dokie. With 3 dice.
3 dice. 1 dice from Phlesc then, please, if you could, Connie.
Okay.
With a focus, I think.
Oh, yes.
The power system focus. Yeah.
Yep. Same for Tavish. Okay, yep. Phlesc knows his stuff. And Tavish goes in there as well.
I'm not rolling well.
Well, your rolls are pretty high at the moment, yes, but you still got 2 successes, which is not to be sneezed at all. Okay.
Yes.
Between the 2 of them, they trace the problem to being that, like Tavish discovered before, certain the amount of structural stress that the ship has been put under has caused things to come out of their housing. It looks like some of the electroplasma power conduits have also been shaken loose from their housings, which could be potentially problematic, because if you have electro-charged plasma going through a conduit that's not secured to its power point, that means you could have plasma leak, which could cause a plasma fire. So you essentially have power couplings that are not properly coupled.
Matt.
Yes.
I've got Chief Engineer.
Yes.
What it says, you reduce the opportunity cost of engineering teams by 1.
Yes. So what that means is that sometimes you can create or obtain a trait. Because for you, it'd be like if your chief of security wanted a certain security-based situation to be easier, he might roll or buy, using momentum, an advantage for, say, security team. So that would mean that Garrow would maybe buy the advantage, or the trait rather, of security team for 2 momentum, or whatever the opportunity cost, in a similar way that you would pay opportunity costs for pieces of equipment.
Okay.
In this case, the opportunity cost of an engineering team for you would probably be 1 with Chief Engineer. You could buy an engineering team to make life easier for yourself with the cost of just 1 momentum, rather than 2.
Okay. Would this be a good time? Oh, actually, no.
It could. You could either hold on to that trait as something you could use to make a future engineering-based role easier by bringing the difficulty down, or you could assign that engineering team to a particular problem and get them to resolve it.
How big is the reserve power leak?
At the
With
moment,
everything
it's nothing
being-
big, but if, like I said, if too much plasma leaks from a conduit, it could
Explosions.
cause a fire. And yes, things
Yes.
go from bad to worse from there onwards, so...
Can I get whoever is still up and about in my engineering, team, well, teams, can I get them to go around fixing,
That particular problem?
fixing
Okay.
the problem.
I will say that since you are currently running around like headless chickens trying to fix every possible problem that you've got going at the moment, that yes, that will cost you 1 momentum to represent you pulling people away from repairs and engineering and sending them directly off to take care of these specific conduits that need securing before power gets run through them. So that will cost you all of 1 momentum.
Is that okay with you guys?
Plenty of momentum, please.
Yeah, crack on.
There you go. You've got 5. That now becomes 4.
There's also something else I want to do while I'm on a bit of a lull.
Yes.
I've got like 2 minutes to, like, I don't know, just calm down a minute. I want to plug in, my engineering tricorder into my USB port, please.
You want to scan your neural interface?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I want to see what's up with Nilo.
Reason and engineering, please. Difficulty 0. So this is a good opportunity to get some momentum back, but also I want to see if how badly you are rolling at the moment.
AI programming as a focus.
That'll do. Yep. There you are. Your rolls have gone down the other way. Excellent.
Yeah.
Full momentum.
And we got some momentum. Yeah.
Okay, an initial scan of Nylil, or rather the bionic implant that Nylil resides within. I was about to say lives within, but that presumes that she is a living creature, and that has different connotations entirely to what we're talking about here. It looks like the implant in Tavish's head suffered an overload. But rather than it being a simple case of the battery, essentially, inside of the implant went bang, it looks more like power was deliberately shunted into it in order to make it overload, which would deliver an electric shock to your brain.
Oh, he did
So-
this to herself.
Well, not suicide, no. She. It seems that Nylil deliberately realigned some of her processes to deliberately cause this overload, which would create a very specific electric shock. If it was an overload and committing suicide, the whole implant might have gone bang and therefore blown out the side of your head. This was a very measured, controlled overload. It does mean that the power pack inside of the neural interface is now dead, but Nylil herself, themselves, is not dead, just now powered down.
Okay. I would have to do surgery to myself to get her back up at the moment.
Rather than go poking around inside your own implant and accidentally, slip and jam a spanner into your brain, maybe a spanner? The interface is that big? Let's go with sure, why not? Spanner in your joint.
Can I just put a little safety feature to make sure that Nylil is fine and is not going to get any more trauma from whatever I do from this?
Nylil get trauma. Now that's an interesting way that you phrased it there. Well, either way, there's not much you can do to bring Nylil back online for the moment, as we have stated. She needs a new battery.
I'm not expecting her to be back online. I just want to make sure she's safe in her little offline.
So far, yes. As long as you don't actively, bash your head into something with such force, and it's the neural implant side of your skull that takes a massive amount of damage, then you should be fine.
Somebody get me a helmet.
Plug yourself into the warp core. What's the worst that could happen? It'll charge her.
It'd be like that film, The Lighthouse. You start worshipping the light. Be right back, no problem, Chris. Okay, thank you. And that actually brings me nicely to Bonnet, actually. You wanted to try and have a go at the navigational system and the helm system in general. So let's have... Your reason's not that bad. If I can get a reason and con check out of you with... your helm operation propulsion foci would do well for this.
Alright,
I'm not going to give you a difficulty. I want to see how well you do this in order to gauge how much information you can glean.
did I use a momentum
If you want to,
to get an
you've got
extra dice?
6 momentum, so if folks are alright with you spending that, then I suggest do it.
Alright.
1 extra dice. Nice dice. 3 successes in total. Very good. Goes back into the momentum pool. Alright, so the issue we have here is that because warp power is offline, main engines are off too, all of that makes sense. The main deflector is only on minimal power, just to keep it so that one random piece of dust doesn't puncture through several decks. So that's good. What Bonnet finds somewhat troubling is that the just about barely active navigational sensor array suggests that the ship is still moving under some small amount of momentum. According to sensor logs, the last time you were aware of space around the ship was that there was this big aperture, this gap in space that had all this debris around it and was emitting gravitational waves, which might very well have been what messed up the ship. But it seems that, according to the small bits of data that you're getting from the navigational sensor array, the Combs is drifting, and is drifting slowly, inexorably towards where that aperture in space was last reported. At the moment, even thrusters are offline. That could probably be solved, you would hope, by getting more power back into the propulsion systems, which means the whole power situation, which means the whole warp core situation needs to be addressed first. So there's like a pyramidal structure of problems that have to be addressed. But that does actually bring us to... have a quick look. Doodly-doodly-doodly-doo. This means that I can actually divert our attention just for a moment to Commander Gerkow. Small amounts of power are available, and you are the science officer at the sensor station. Do you want to do anything like try and conduct a scan of space or anything in order to try and glean some more info?
I think so. We don't want us to be drifting to, well, we don't want the situation to escalate even more than it might potentially be.
So here's my question to you. You can try and get the Combs to assist you with this, but that would mean drawing on power, which is a bit of a valuable commodity at the moment. Obviously, it would give you extra help with this scan, but it would be at the risk of draining power more than it already is. Or Gerkow could try this entirely by herself and go on talent alone. It would be slightly harder, but it wouldn't
I
be
think
risking power.
Gerkow.
Gerkow alone? Okay.
Alone, yes.
Then give me control and science, please.
Difficulty unknown as of yet.
Let me think. I'm going to go with a 2 for this. And... let's actually use your extra vehicular activity focus for a change.
Oh. Let me see then.
Ah, the strain, the strain!
What goodies can I use?
Yep, if you can think of anything else that can help you, then, you know. by all means.
Maybe. Okay, maybe I will just. Take roll an extra dice
Okay.
by taking momentum, so roll 3 instead.
Using that big brain.
Yeah. It may have just been injured, but you know what?
Like a muscle
Eh.
needs to be re-exercised again. Look at that.
Legion of Honor.
Okay, you sprung on that one very quickly, but yes, a pair of 4s there was very good. Map successes. Right. Legion of Honor, okay. We've used one of those. Gerkow teases small bits of power into the main sensor array in order to try and get a general sense of what's going on outside of the ship at the moment. Welcome back, Fred. You can confirm that what Bonnet... Gerkow can confirm what Bonnet just discovered is that the ship seems to be drifting. And Gerkow can confirm that the ship appears to be drifting in the general direction of the aperture in space, but also so is the Klingon ship. The Klingon ship was already pretty battered before, and a scan from yourself just now, Gerkow, reveals that the Klingon ship has also suffered damage in a very similar vein to yourselves. They appear to have suffered a great deal of structural impact damage, mostly from gravitational forces. And because they were already somewhat beaten up before, they are not exactly fragile, but it wouldn't take much more to see the Klingon ship suffer some kind of rather debilitating damage. They're certainly not under... they're drifting, not under their own power either. There's no evidence of shields or power on the Klingon ship at all. But that is when we get an alert on Gerkow's sensor reading console as you are detecting transporter signals.
Transporter signals?
Yes.
From the ship itself or elsewhere?
From the Klingon ship. There are... a transporter has been activated... Transporters, pardon me, have been activated on the Klingon ship, and you are now reading 30 extra life signs on deck 10 in the main shuttle bay where there weren't some before.
Folks, we've been boarded.
Yes, indeed. So, no problem, Marky Mark, you're just in time. You appear to have 30 intruders on the ship. What would you like to do?
Hammock?
Can we... Oh, no, that's not very Starfleet of me.
Well, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, can we...
Open the airlock and have them suck out into space?
Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say.
And we're at war. Things happen.
Well...
But then we lose the shuttles, and I don't want to lose Shutty the shuttle.
Yes, that's a good point. Is it worth sacrificing Shutty?
No.
We can't take 30 people. We can make a new Shutty.
I mean...
Also, we're just jettisoning them. We can go back and get them.
Yeah, we can always teleport back on them. You know, you can teleport Bonnet on the shuttles the 3 shuttles that we lose, and she flies them back one at a time.
Yeah.
But perfectly honest, we don't know if there's been any damage to the shuttles.
And you think
that's a point? Oh, yeah, that's a point in favor of jettisoning them.
You don't think that affects Bonnet? Bonnet don't care. She'll figure out a way.
She can do it in an EVA suit.
Exactly.
It has no propulsion. The windscreen's the space screen has been shattered. There's no life support. There's not even main power. It's all right. She'll find a way. Bonnet don't care.
No, she don't.
Can I ask a question then?
Of course.
How much of our security team is there?
You've still got security. You don't have your security chief at the moment, because Garrow is otherwise abed.
We've got Gerkow.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
What else do you need?
Exactly. First thing I was going to say Gerkow.
30 Klingons is a lot.
No, it sounds like warm up for Gerkow.
Breakfast.
Concussed Gerkow.
I'm fine now. I'm fit for duty.
It's just reps, isn't it? It's like, you know,
That means more fair.
up to 30 Klingons.
It's more fair. Just get cussed.
Crunch.
It's more evenly of a match for Gerkow now.
Oh dear. So yeah, for some people do burpees or squats. No. Apparently Gerkow goes hand to hand with Klingons.
I'm
It's
on my
not
way.
enough of a workout. All right. So what's happening with the shuttle bay then? You actually opening it up to space or what?
I think we should like.
Turn off this alarm.
Sorry. I was thinking that maybe we should open the door, see what's what, and then we can shuttle jettison them into space if we don't see what we like.
If
I
we
don't know.
don't see something what we like.
Yeah.
If they don't come bearing gifts, I'm
Yeah.
going to be very upset.
Perfectly honest, we have no idea if they're here for combat or if they're here because, that's the last 30 survivors on that ship.
Makes a point.
Even if we are at war, we have no idea if these people are giving up or not. And just jettisoning them out of a door is probably not the Starfleet way. So we do have every right to do this under, probably wartime stuff. But we're Starfleet. We're not Klingons.
Taking Dave's point to a first action, let's try and communicate with them. Send out a comms message. If they don't respond, let them know that we'll jettison them.
Well,
So,
as
so
I
either
said-
Liz, go
As I
first
said,
then, Dave.
Okay.
so send them a message saying surrender now or face the wrath of being jettisoned to space. Your choice.
Okay. Dave, what are you going to say?
I was going to say, make sure that the security teams are down at the shuttle
Down
bay.
in the shuttle bay. Okay.
Yeah, and have a Gerkow there as well, if Gerkow's up for it.
Oh yeah.
And pretending to surrender and then hostile intentions is perfidy, which is a war crime. Just so we know.
No, I'm saying that either they surrender, like the Klingons give up, or they get jettisoned. It's
Okay.
Which
ultimatum.
means putting down their weapons. Yeah.
Okay.
We're just giving them ultimatums.
All right. So it sounds to me like now you said security teams. Are you sending all the security teams down to the shuttle bay?
Probably not, no, because we have no idea if they're going to
Do anything else?
Okay.
if they're going to what's it? Oh, my head's a bit screwy. What is it?
Split up.
No, we don't know if they're going to teleport.
Oh, right. Yeah, of course.
Moreover, and if they do come out of the shuttle bay, yeah,
All right.
we don't know if they're going to split up. So
So
Having
our
one
security team, not all the security teams.
How many
Yes.
is in the security team?
Usually about 4, I would say. 4 or 5.
And how many do we have? How many teams, sorry? Because can we send
Indeterminate.
half?
'Cause-
Okay. I'd say send half our team. Half the full complement of security.
Half the full complement of security. Down to deck. What did I say it was? 10? 10. Okay, including Gerkow.
With
Alright,
with Gerkow.
we don't need the other 10.
Right, Gerkow with meat shields.
Okay, so the ultimatum is sent. Intruders surrender now or risk being jettisoned into space. which suggests that you are getting ready to, well, locking the thing down and getting ready to open the shuttle bay doors into space. As Gerkow and the security teams are heading towards Deck 10, those back on the bridge gain notification that somehow the intruders have managed to override the security lock on the door and have escaped Deck 10, and according to sensors are now breaking up into teams and are scattering. They appear to be moving into the Jeffries tubes. There is one group heading towards Deck 4, the transporter room 1. There is one group heading towards staying on Deck 10, heading towards primary computer core. There is one group going down further into main engineering, and there's another one going further down again to Deck 12 for environmental control.
I've got a plan for the main engineering, by the way.
Okay. So Gerkow is already going to be going down to Deck 10, so Gerkow could just as easily divert and start taking on the guys trying to split up to get to the primary computer core, unless Gerkow wants to quickly shirk off to a different location.
No, I think stopping them from getting to the computer core is a good call.
Okay. Like I said, a security team is essentially a trait, like an equipment trait. If you want one to take into that area with you, it's going to cost you 2 momentum.
Do we need it? Do I need it? Okay, might as well. Better safe than sorry. We have 6 momentum
Yeah.
anyway.
You did say some of them were going to Deck 4, right?
Yes, I did.
Oh.
Bonnet would take a security team and intercept them, saying that she's on the bridge.
Yep, okay. You are going to try and stop them from getting into Transporter Room 1. Alright then. Let me...
Matt, are they in Jeffries tubes trying to get to engineering?
They are splitting up and using Jeffries tubes to get all over the place.
Okie dokie.
Oh no.
What were you thinking?
Setting up some traps for them if they come into any of the Jeffries tubes into engineering.
Okay. Phlesc. So Bonnet is going to Transporter Room 1. Gerkow is going to the primary computer core. Tavish is going to be dealing with whoever is foolish enough to come into main engineering. Phlesc. Is Phlesc going to try and do something with the other group going into environmental controls? Or is he staying on the bridge?
Phlesc is going to try and coordinate from the bridge and keep repairs going, rather than try and fight, because he is not a fighter. He's a lover.
Okay. And needless to say, Dr. Sott is still in sickbay doing his thing. So what we do have the opportunity to do here is to activate some of your supporting cast if you want to divert them off towards assisting with any of this stuff. I don't think it needs to be said that Kenson and Girani, the 2 engineering supporting crew, are probably going to be down in engineering anyway. We do have Ensign Akos, who is a security specialist, so he could be very useful.
He should definitely go.
Ensign
Or do we want him on the
Ravalon
bridge?
is communications.
In case someone comes to the bridge, do we want him there to protect the squishy
have
leadership?
Diversion and Dufresne as well, and Mark makes a good point. There's also, of course, Captain Sobek and Commander Lian Zhang.
Alright, can we have Ravalon keep all teams updated on where the intruders are at all times to the teams?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Okay.
I
Using him to
do-
coordinate. That's fine.
I do think we need to have somebody go take out the group, go into environmental, because that could be dangerous.
Yes. I would love ACOS to go down there, but again, I think Mark's right. Having him on
Bridge, just in case.
Because who have you got going as team leaders at the moment?
I mean, so as a team lead, we
You-
can always have Zhang
Hold on.
or
Hold on. We've got Bonnet with a team going to. Where are you going to?
Transporter.
deck 4.
Transporter. We've got Gerkow.
Going to
going
deck 10, the
to-
primary computer core.
Okay.
Tavish is, of
we've
course,
got
in charge of deck 11, main engineering.
11. And we've got environmental, haven't we?
Yes.
So
Could always send the lieutenant commander in charge of a team. Get her a little bit of command experience. She needs it.
What's going on with Garrow, by the way?
Garrow is currently
Garrow's-
incapacitated in sick bay, but if necessary, he can be activated and sent on his way.
Can we do that?
Sure.
Can Dr. Sott do his thing and get Garrow
Up and running again?
up and running? Yeah, up and running again, so we can get him to go with. So we've got. What have we got? If we spend another 2 momentum, we can have him go with a security team down there.
And because he's chief security, I think it will only cost 1.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so spend another momentum then, and get him to go with a security team down to environmental control.
Okay. Can I get... I'll bring Dr. Sott's character token back onto the bridge for the sake of ease. So that Chris can
So I think
access.
we're activating
Garrow.
Garrow and
ACOS to stay on the bridge,
yeah,
but
Ravlon.
Ravalon's just doing what a communications officer does, so I won't take off a use of your crew support for that, but for Garrow I will, and for ACOS to, just in case, leaves you with 3 more that could be activated as and when you need to. But first let's have control and medicine from Dr. Sott with the focus of emergency medicine to see how well you get Lieutenant Garrow up and running again, ready to do security-based stuff. Well, was there any doubt in your mind?
It's alive!
Rise, my creation! Which maybe Dr. Sott does as he shocks him back into life, into consciousness.
Was there Coil involved in this medical procedure?
Considering the amount of power drain that would have on the rest of the ship, that's entirely up to Chris.
More than one, I think.
Okay, so there goes reserve power, but never mind, hey, at least we got Garrow back.
Exactly.
And he's more statically charged than he ever was before.
I had the AMD like put like an antenna on the top of the ship just for lightning strike.
The experiment is ready, Master. It's alive! Alright, in that case, Garrow is up and running, and he is going down to environmental control in order to take care of whoever is trying to get into the environmental control area. Brillo. And for 1 momentum, he's got an entire security team because he is Chief of Security. Let me just make sure that everybody can see that if they get pulled into it. I think we will, but you never know. That's a good point, actually. Let me check the others. Aha. Sick bay we've already got. Let me check transporter room 1. Groovy. I just need to give Garrow his security team. Group of dudes, group of dudes, group of dudes, and group of dudes. Right, okay, let's deal with this one at a time. Now, because I am very curious about what Gerkow's got in store here, not Gerkow, Tavish has got in store here. What is Tavish doing?
How many Jeffrey tubes go to engineering?
Just 2.
Just 2. All right. I'm gonna set up traps for them then.
Please explain the nature of these traps.
I would put because they're gonna have to break it open.
They are going to have to exit a Jeffrey's tube door, yes.
Yes. So I was thinking of is it an actual door or is it like a grate?
It's like a detachable access point, but they do have to come through a door first. So it's more like the detachable access point. Excuse me.
Can I run what power if we have any spare
You're gonna
power?
shock them.
Yes.
This sounds like daring and engineering to me.
Can I also just have a look at something as well?
Difficulty 1 for one entrance, difficulty 2 for both entrances.
Okay, let's do both. Daring and engineering. Let's use my Starcross.
Okay. So remember to tag dedicated focus, as well as focus.
So, and a dedicated focus. Oh, focus is experimental technology. As if it's very experimental. Is that right?
Go more power systems myself, because you're rerouting power to shock a door when somebody puts their hands on it.
Okie dokie.
There's nothing really experimental about it. You know full well how it works. You take a power point, stick it onto a door, and watch somebody shock themselves when they touch it.
Okay.
Right then. Both. Right, in which case... So, Tavish and the rest of her team, that does mean that you get warning, pre-warning ahead of time, when you hear a zapping sound followed by a sudden scream of pain, which alerts your entire engineering crew to the point that there are now intruders. So, folks have your engineering team have got a chance to find cover.
Okay.
Rather than stand out in the doorways.
Find cover, get your Type 1 phasers out. Make sure not to try and destroy what's left of engineering.
Okie dokie.
Oh, I'm going to go and stand next to one of the access points with a... stand to the side of one of the access points, so when they come through, I'm going to hit them with a hyper spanner.
Okay.
This is my engineer. This is my engineering bay. No one comes here.
Let's see then. If everyone's seeking cover, then I'm going to put Kenson by there. Let's keep Girani by there. Yeah, the engineering staff can stay there. Tavish wants to be put close to where they come through so she can hurl something at them. So I'm gonna go with over here. As you hear the sound of running booted feet, and just as they come close, you hear a cry, not in Klingon. As folks appear from around a corner, from both sides of the initial access to engineering, which gives us... Now, I will say that for the sake of giving folks something to do, we can activate Girani and Kenson here to try and help out. So that's what we're gonna do. Excuse me. So, we've got Girani, we've got Kenson, we've got Tavish, and we've got the uninvited guests. So, essentially because you prepared for them, you get to go first. So,
Okay.
Tavish, you are activated first.
It's gonna go for
A quick action can be to open the door, and the slow action, or rather the major action, could be to hurl a spanner at somebody's head.
Yeah, let's go.
And you notice they're not Klingons.
They're Orion.
Yes. Very much without head ridges and very, very green, they are Orions. Nevertheless, you are able to give me a... daring and security. Now, the guy at the moment is not expecting you. He doesn't know you're there, so it's going to be a flat 2. And you got to. Or was that for... that was for...
That was
for the
yeah.
traps. Supplies! Well, you got 2 on that one too. Whoosh,
Yeah.
whoosh, 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 ding! So the hyper spanner was thrown with expert aim. Can I get you to... Well, let's see. What is hyper spanner? It does 3 damage. It is one-handed and it does... so I am... Yeah, he catches that full in the face and gets knocked unconscious. Doing! Poor guy never saw that coming. Put it right in the face.
all of the engineering people are like, oh, we've had that happen to us too.
But never right in the face.
Yeah.
Everyone on engineering always wondered how hard Tavish would be able to hit them if she really, really meant it. Now they've seen for themselves as this guy's tooth goes flying and maybe his nose breaks under the impact of getting a hyperspanner at high velocity.
You get a collective ooh
yes
from from the whole engineering team.
However, that means Tavish has exposed herself to having no cover whatsoever when another Orion decides to open fire with a disruptor rifle. So, yeah, I am going to have him roll control and security. Tavish has no cover whatsoever, so it's going to be difficulty 2. I get 2, which means it hits. Disruptor rifle does 5 damage, which means that Tavish can either take an intensity 5 injury, or she can spend 5 stress to just about avoid that shot.
Let's spend 5 stress.
Right then, take 5 stress off of Tavish.
1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
As that's represented by a very quick duck out of the way as she sees the Orion line up his shot and open fire, and that was very much a case of that nearly got me. Right then, who shall go next, Jirani or Kenson? Jirani has got control and security of 9 and 1, which are pretty low. Kenson has got 11 and 2, so Kenson is a bit better at the security than Jirani is.
I think it's what's it? Her grab ball focus coming into play.
Grav ball focus as she hurls something at high velocity. Well, okay. Yeah. All right then.
Let's have Kenson.
Let's do Kenson next. We shall have Mark. Since Phlesc isn't going to be doing anything security related, maybe we'll have Chris's Jirani afterwards. Apparently, Kenson is grabbing something heavy and is using her skills at 0G Grav Ball to hurl something at one of the Orions. So this sounds like daring and security to me.
With a focus on Grav Ball.
Yep.
Look, we needed a focus. It's the only focus you've got.
I like how the engineering team are like, weapons? Nah, let's grab bits of kit that we've got nearby and hurl it. And look at that.
Hey!
Yes, Kenson.
So let's go with, it's a bludgeoning tool. It whooshes off. Go for the nearest guy who shot at Tavish. This guy gets something full in the face. Oomph. Which means it's the final Orion's turn.
Oh no.
Now then, he's not armed with a disruptor rifle, he's got a disruptor pistol. He's either got Tavish or whoever just shot at him, and now all of a sudden he's alone. What would you do if you were this guy?
Run. they've got banners. They know how to use them.
Yeah, quite. Now,
Tavish getting up, like dusting herself off, like yeah.
This guy is going to try and shoot at Tavish, but he's going to use a talent. You can buy 1 or more d20s by spending threat and re-roll. So he is going to spend threat to roll 3 dice.
Uh-oh.
And he can re-roll one of them if it doesn't like the roll. Tavish gleaming with pride at her engineering team? Well, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
That was 2 successes. That is a guaranteed shot, and because I can re-roll it, I am going to re-roll the 19 just to see what we get. It was no extra successes, so it was still on the money. Excuse me. Disruptor pistols do 4. Tavish can either take an intensity 4 injury, or she can decrease it, but just about avoid it by spending 4 stress.
Where
is this?
Ooh. It takes me down to 2 stress.
Yes, it does.
How bad are intensity 4 injuries?
Let me put it this way. Like most things, they go on a scale of 1 to 5.
Okay. Alright, let's do the stress. Let's put me down to 2.
There are ways to recover stress, but it involves seeing your emergency medicine specialists. Nevertheless, this guy does take a look around at where he is and is starting to have second thoughts, so he is going to use his minor action to make a runner into this section here, heading back to where he came in too, which leaves us with Ensign Girani. So, Chris, would Ensign Girani like to try and see if she can catch up with this retreating Orion dude, or?
Where is... Yeah, okay.
It'll cost you 1 momentum to get all the way over to here where she can actually take a shot at him.
What do you guys think? Is that
two
cool?
zones.
Do it. Do it.
But she might be able to shoot him in the back as he's running away.
Okay, so where should I position? Like, oh, no, I'm taking Alvin for a ride. There we go.
Run, run, run. Run, run, run. Run, run, run. Right.
Back
Just
down
reminds me of that Red Dwarf quote. Shoot him in the back? Of course in the back. It's just a pity he's awake. So, from Ensign Girani, we need security and... Sorry, daring and... No, pardon me. Control and security if you're firing a phaser.
Security.
And no, maintenance as a focus does not count. However, one success. So it was just about a miss. But that was closer than that guy liked. Moving on, we can activate Tavish again.
Right. I'm running down.
So you've got the advantage of a minor action takes you into this zone, which parks you close to as you want to Girani, which means that you could take a shot at this guy as well if you wanted to.
Can I go there?
Just give me a second. I am trying to deal with why I cannot hear anything from Sirenscape.
I can.
It's very bitty. It's amazing how much memory this takes up. Right, so yep, down to there is fine. It's control and security to try and get a phaser shot off. Because you flung Tavish's hyperspanner already.
Oh, I didn't pick it up on the way over there. Aww.
And you're going to need to spend a momentum to draw the phaser in order to...
Is that okay with people?
I'm honestly surprised she doesn't carry more than one.
Cowboy Tavish.
Is that okay to spend a momentum? Yes.
Go for it. I'm surprised when we were all getting our own special hats, Tavish didn't get a cowboy hat. Then she could dual wield phasers.
Pew pew.
Have we spent the momentum?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Oh, hold on.
Holding on.
All right.
Ooh, not so good. That was a miss. So, shot it. He just about ducked as the phaser shot strikes the wall, which means it's the Orion's turn. He's going to pop a shot off, but this is not aimed at anyone in particular. Pardon me. I am going to spend threat because he's got an ability. If I do... That wasn't bad at all. So he doesn't actively shoot at either Tavish or Girani, but as he runs for the access to the Jeffries tube, he does fire off a shot at a wall, which ignites a panel, which means it explodes, showering this area in debris, which makes Jirani and Tavish both hold up their hands to cover their faces so they don't get hit by shrapnel, which gives this guy time to hoof it out of there, which he does. He escapes back into the Jeffries tubes. Congratulations, the engineering team repelled that particular attack in true engineering team fashion.
I'm so proud of them now.
Hurling spanners and boxes and other bits of equipment and hitting Orions in the face. Alright then, let's go to Gerkow. Now, Gerkow is operating pretty much on her Todd here, so what I will say is you use momentum to buy security team as an advantage. So essentially the security team can be spent to keep the regular Orions occupied, whilst Gerkow herself goes for the Orion Lieutenant, this guy here. When Gerkow arrives, she finds a group of Orions trying to break into the mains computer, the primary computer core, using some kind of tool. It almost looks like a baton with some kind of forked end to it, and one of them is just jamming it into the door controls and is flipping different controls on the baton's haft, trying to gain access to it. But of course, Gerkow bursts into the scene dramatically and is able to then dispatch her security team to take on the Orions, while she takes on the Orion Lieutenant. So, let's get it on!
And
Gerkow, of course,
Gerkow
goes
is
first.
going to leap and attack the lieutenant with lefty and righty.
A jumping jab followed by a massive hook. Right, gotcha. Sounds like daring and security to me. Opposed by this guy's daring and security.
Uh,
Okay, so that's what you're up against. One success. Oh, wow. Okay.
ah,
You are no match for Gerkow. The power of lefty and righty compels you. So, let's see. That was 3 over what you needed. You can spend 2 of those to up the damage from your unarmed strike to 3. Keeping
yeah,
one
if everyone's happy, I'll do that.
Go for it.
Cool, so that's 3 damage he takes. Now this guy is a lieutenant, therefore he will negate that by spending threat. But that means he's had to spend threat to stop himself from getting blocked by this massive roundhouse right from, well, righty. So he himself draws a serrated dagger and goes for Gerkow. Gerkow, because this is a hand-to-hand combat attack, you get to resist this with your own daring and security, and of course your hand-to-hand combat focus.
Oh,
Caught by surprise, does he do any better? He does, with only 1. Okay, so a dagger does 2. It is deadly, which means it does just lethal damage rather than non-lethal. Because I only got 1 over and above, I'll put that back into the threat pool, because it's not enough to increase the damage. So, unless Gerkow wants to suffer an intensity 2 injury, she can avoid taking an injury by spending 2 stress.
I have as well the silver banded shield.
Yes, you do.
I'm trying to... Nope.
Or wounds suffered in combat. So once per mission, you can avoid injury for 1 less than usual to a minimum of 1. Well, you can just spend 1 then in that case.
Yeah, I will do that. Ow.
So that was a momentary backing away, as unfortunately your uniform takes that.
Oh.
Oh, it's on now.
I see it has become a knife fight.
Yes, indeed. Oh, look, she has a knife. Wow,
Yeah.
that was part self-satisfied chuckles, part villain.
What a uncanny coincidence.
So it's like, okay, then you want to do this? Let's do this. Shing! Out comes the knife.
Exactly.
You can still use your hand-to-hand focus, but he's going to
nice.
as well. So he is going to resist using... Oh, not a very good one. He wasn't expecting that, it seems. And you were. You
Whoa.
win. You get 1 point over. That's
Ooh.
not enough to increase the damage. So you can put that extra one back in the momentum pool.
Yeah.
Unless
do
you
that.
do want to spend 2 momentum in order to increase the damage by an extra 1.
Damage.
Okay, I've been convinced. The voice of Phlesc is in my head.
Do it! Right, which, whoa, wow, okay. La 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 la, which means that you increase to 3 damage, which means if he wants to avoid it, he has to... Can he avoid it? He's not that high an NPC, so no, he can't. Only once per scene can he avoid using... So, certain NPCs, if they're high enough in level, they don't get taken out in one shot. They can actually last more than one shot. In this case, he already used Threat to avoid injury from lefty and righty. Doesn't avoid the knife, so defeats the lieutenant in a knife fight.
Boom.
Boom,
And that's
indeed.
2 momentum gone.
And 2 momentum is gone, 1, 2. Nevertheless, that was a decisive blow, at which point the security team is able to subdue the Orion privateers, especially after they saw their own, the Orions saw their own leader, at least of this little contingent, go down to a knife-wielding Tellarite, who's there just looking at the rest of them going, who else wants some? And they're all intimidated enough to essentially surrender on the spot. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Which means now we go to Transporter Room 1. What we get here is that your Transporter Chief, Zonvagor, calls ahead and says he can hear somebody outside the door of Transporter Room 1 trying to get in. Bonnet is already en route, which means she arrives with the security team just as the doors open and a group of Orions burst in. So, unless you want to activate Zonvagor himself, he's got 2 security, he's not too bad. His daring's very low, though. So, yeah, if you want to use your last crew support slot to activate Zonvagor so that Bonnet has a little extra help, you can. Otherwise, it will be like the last engagement, where it's essentially going to be Bonnet versus the Orion Lieutenant. So how would you prefer to do this?
I think, I'll just do 1v1. What's the worst that can happen?
1v1? Alrighty. Now, very confined space here. As you can see, Zonvagor is basically going to take cover behind his console. The Orions are going to... The regular dudes are going to take on the security officers, which means it is down to Bonnet and the Orion Lieutenant. So, Bonnet, what you doing? Are you
For melee, it'll
thinking
be
more
daring.
fisticuffs, or are you thinking, well, look at that, you got a dagger as well. Who's been arming you people?
The combs.
Quite. As well as there being little boxes with phasers in case of being boarded, there's now extra ones underneath for knives. Maybe I should have said there were extra racks for hyperspanners that could be thrown in engineering.
No, I think she'll just shoot him.
Shoot him! Okay. At the moment, this guy has just come through the door, so he's got no cover, so you do have control and security with a difficulty of 2. I'm going to assume that you went into this with the phaser already drawn, so you don't spend your quick action, your minor action on drawing it. That is a 1. It's a shoot and a miss. Do you want to use your minor action to move anywhere?
He has a phaser out, right?
He has a disruptive pistol, yes.
Alright, she's just gonna move right here next to him.
Cool. Okay. He is going to use his minor action to move back out into the corridor so he can shoot around the corner of the door, so he gains the use of cover. As such, he is going to stick behind cover. He's going to take a shot at Bonnet. He is using security, so I am going to use his talent of bold to buy an extra dice so that he can re-roll one of them. Bonnet is not under cover of any kind, and as such, it's going to be difficulty 2 as well. 2, a 14 and a 4, that's 2 successes, so I don't need to roll another one, really. So that is a shot. Disruptor pistol hits for 4 damage. Same choice. Either take an injury or use stress to avoid injury.
I will avoid the stress for now.
Avoid using stress. Okay, cool. Which brings us back around to round 3. Round 2, I should say. Bonnet, you're up.
Alright, she's gonna move out into the corridor.
Oh, right, no cover at all. Okay.
Negating his cover.
Cool, cool, cool. So this becomes a difficulty 2. As unfortunately another miss, unless you want to spend determination to re-roll. Unless you've got some other means of re-rolling.
You know what? I'm gonna use a true pilot trusts her instincts, and her instincts are to attack him.
I like it. So after this is resolved, remember to make a note of that in your personal log for episode 29. But for now... So we want to re-roll that 19, essentially.
Yeah, definitely rolling the 19.
So... Oh, that's better. That's much better. So that is 2 successes, which means that is in fact a hit. You are using a Type 2 phaser, so Bonnet gets the big guns. 4, which means he has to spend 1, 2, 3, 4 threat to not be downed by that injury. Alright.
He may have readied the armory a little bit as well.
So he is going to use a minor action to... He's going to use a free action to just drop his disruptor, a minor action to draw his dagger, and he's going in for a close-up fight. Bonnet can resist this with daring and security. Excellent. So that's what I'm up against, is one success. He is going to try hand-to-hand, with a knife rather, I should say. One success, which means for the moment it's a no-score draw. So Bonnet is a little surprised, but does manage to beat off the guy's swings and attempts to slash at her. Cool on the gang. Alrighty. Back around to Bonnet.
All right.
Yes, I
Yeah,
picked
she's
up on
going
that
to-
too. Thank you, Mark.
Really, Mark?
Yeah, really. Ignore him. Just carry on.
She's gonna drop her phaser and go to punchy punch.
Alrighty, which means he gets to resist with the same thing we just did. So what Bonnet needs to get over is... Oh, not very much at all. 0. So whatever you get is good. You win. So you get to put that one into the momentum. You're a lobster. And, yeah, you can give him the... What is it? 2 for unarmed strike? Yep, 2. Which means that you managed to knock the guy unconscious. Ba-bam! Nicely done. So that's the guys in engineering taken care of, the guys in the primary computer taken care of, and the guys in the transporter room. Yes, Liz, what was that? Sorry.
Oh, so you're just looking at Zomagor. And this is what happens when you mess with my time off. My holodeck time is my time.
Alright, so we're gonna jump to sick bay. Even though I just moved us to the deck 1 for the moment, just so I can check something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, excellent. So, with all this, all the stuff that's the action that's going on. So we're back in sickbay. So Gerkow has been seen to and discharged. She's all happy. She's all good. We've discharged Garrow because Garrow was brought back to consciousness so that he could lead a security team to environmental control, which means we've essentially got the folks still being seen to by Dr. Sott and his medical team. And it's just at that point that a group of people bursts in to sickbay. Orions, one and all.
Sorry, lads, you're going to have to make an appointment.
So, these... I like the balls of that statement.
So you're going to have to wait for 2 to 4 hours to be seen?
Well, if we're talking about the current state of the medical profession in both the USA and the UK, it's more like 7 to 8. But in Starfleet, especially with Dr. Sott at the helm, yes. The queue is over there, lads. But one of the Orions stands out and walks cockily forward from the rest. This guy does look terribly young compared to the more battle-scarred lieutenant. But this guy has a very young, cocksure attitude, very young face, very cocksure attitude. Also has a tattoo of a sword on his neck. You have seen this before. Orions with sword tattoos. Nevertheless... Sorry, go on.
I said, didn't we see them in the ruins?
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Back in one of the previous episodes, there was a group of Orions, each of them tattooed with a downward-facing black sword. So, this one strides forward with a very... one part smug, one part malevolent grin as he looks at Dr. Sott. Sorry, Doc, as he levels his... as he brings up his disruptor pistol. But I got special privileges that'll let me jump to the head of the queue. So, if we'd like to have everybody stacked up against that wall over there, Let's see if we can't resolve the situation nice and peacefully so that I can take your ship. So, we now have a hostage situation in sickbay.
No.
Any chance that EMD can slip out in the? Connie just messaged me the exact same thing I was about to say. Any chance that EMD can like slip out that escape hatch that Miranda-class starships seem to have?
Oh yes, of course. All right then.
Courtesy of the Kazon.
Give me then, Chris, the emergency medical drones control and security as it tries to make a surreptitious exit. One success. Okay. Yes.
To be fair, he is a doctor, not a ninja.
But he has got that. He is composed of light projected from that little drone. So what he can essentially do is, at the moment the Orions come through, he disengages the holographic projector and just pretends to be this random little medical drone device that just drifts along back into the office over here. And it then drifts down next to one of the ventilation ports, or maybe it's the Jeffrey's tube access. Uses the little manipulator tractor beam to pull off the cover and slinks into the Jeffrey's tube. Nice. Okay. So, meanwhile, back on deck 1. Just get the thing to load. There we go. Tavish can report that the Orion team that tried to invade engineering are dealt with.
Except for one.
Except for one, who managed to escape into the Jeffrey's tubes. Gerkow can confirm that Gerkow and Garrow, as well as Bonnet, can all confirm that the Orions that they took on have all been dealt with, and so start coalescing back on the bridge. But let's change the ambience here a little bit. And so they start getting reports that, yes, there's still, from Tavish, there's still one active somewhere near main engineering. He's either going up or going down. So security should be on the lookout for him. But it's at this point that a communication comes over the comms. Strange that. If I can just find... Now hear this, crew of the Combs. My name is Captain Ulvar Vess, and I currently have your Chief Medical Officer, as well as some of the sickbay staff, and a couple of not-so-healthy crew members, all currently holed up in sickbay as hostages. So, as brave as your intrepid crew have been with repelling my crew's attack to seize your vessel, I'm afraid it was all a ruse, and you fell for it. So, at the earliest convenience of the captain, I would like you to come down to sickbay in order to negotiate the evacuation of your crew to the Klingon D7 so that my people can take control of your ship and we'll be on our merry way. You have 10 minutes before I execute a hostage. Don't make me wait. So, what are you
Gerkow.
going to do?
Send Gerkow to attack.
I was gonna say Tavish would send a reply, but she's holding her tongue.
Yeah.
Can we? I mean, apologies to Dr. Sott and all the patients. Can we just set the oxygen off and have them faint, and then go in?
Oh, knock him out.
Can
Oh,
we
what
do
a-
that though with this ship so damaged?
Well, that's a good point. Chris, just because Dr. Sott is currently engaged in said hostage situation doesn't mean that you can't put your 2 cents in as well.
No, of course, yeah. I'm trying to think of what we can do with the EMD.
Yes, there's that. You've got the EMD free roaming.
Who could like slip back in once we've got some kind of plan?
Yeah, I do feel like we need to utilise the EMD in this.
I do
Does
have a
he have a
question, though.
trank gun? Have we
Yes.
given the EMD a trank gun?
Liz, you had a question.
Do we have enough power to lock on all the Orions in sickbay and just beam them outside the ship?
Hmm.
Ooh, containment field.
Cool.
No, because then. Oh, you mean at the main thingy?
Well, this is what I've been
Yeah.
talking about when I was warning Chris about Dr. Sott's use of sickbay power. Because it's the emergency battery system for that specific area. Now, you did stabilize reserve power at least, so you've got stuff going. So
but
it
we haven't
depends
got-
entirely if you want to use reserve power to do what you just suggested, any of the things that you've just suggested.
Oh, hold on. Give me 2 seconds.
1 Mississippi.
Ooh,
Ooh,
Mississippi.
Mississippi.
Yeah, you're gonna have to go slower than that.
Okay,
I mean, sorry,
So-
go on.
30 seconds? Okay, got it.
No, it's still 2 seconds. It's just the tachyons have distorted time.
Ooh.
Oh,
Or it's a Welsh second, which could be at any indeterminate amount of time.
Now in a bit, yeah.
Now in a bit, yeah.
Okay, so I
So
don't
the
know
slash-
if this is going to work. Yes, because if we're using reserve power, yeah, we could do this.
The ship has no reserve power at the moment. You may add 2 threats to regain it.
Yes. So I'm just putting it out there in case
That there
we
is a method
do
of regaining reserve power. Yes, that's
power,
a good
yes.
point. Very good point.
Just thinking how the starship would not survive. It can, we can handle a Scottish chief engineer, but not a Welsh one. It's like we need warp 5, like right now. Oh, you'll get it now in a minute, man.
Yes.
Well,
Which
okay,
means
so
any
you-
time between right now and in half an hour to never.
Next Friday.
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna piss off a lot of the Welsh people, but that's because Scottish are very well versed in being dicks.
To be fair to the Scottish people, it's really cold and wet up there. You'd be upset. You'd be you'd be annoyed too.
The funny part is, that is actually where my last name comes from. It was from Scotland.
Is it
We
like
are
most of the
none.
people? Is it like our game master and 3 of the players Welsh?
Yes.
Yeah,
A famously hot and tropical climate.
Yes.
yeah. So it's cold up there. We're dicks, and we're better engineers because of it.
I mean,
Whereas
if
the
you
Welsh
consi-
are powerfully ambivalent. in
Oh,
all
yes.
things.
Oh yeah, I'm just to keep on this tangent for just a little bit longer. I'm fairly certain the way that the Romans ended up conquering Wales was through Welsh indifference. What do you think they're up to, Rodri? I don't know, Griffith. It looks like they're putting stones down in a line. What do you think they're doing? Oh, actually, they're pulling a horse and cart over it. That's rather fascinating, isn't it? Shall we let them have it? Yeah, they're putting in more work than we need to. We'll just let them get on with it. And that was it. That was the end of the discussion with the Romans. The Romans said, we bring you education and, drainage, reading, writing, roadways. And the Welsh are like, yeah, okay, sounds great. Off you go.
and the Scots. Bugger off.
And the Scots were like, yeah, who are you? Now, to be fair, the Scottish, they wear kilts. And what is the one really prevalent plant that you find in Scotland? Thistles. Thistles are waist height to people who are wearing kilts. Yeah, you'd be miffed too most of your time. This is why Scottish people are really hardy.
And honestly, kilts were perfect for hiding a bunch of knives.
A bunch of what? Sorry?
A bunch of knives.
Knives. Okay. Not
Yeah, I
what
thought you
heard.
said something
Thank
else, and I'm not going to say what I thought you said.
I was going to say something.
I'm glad it wasn't me. Just me.
I was going to say something about the English in Roman time, but I can't really say anything.
You
Yeah,
could
the
be
English didn't exist in Roman times.
Well, yeah, quite. Right, let's pull off of this regional tangent before we get too involved. Unless Dave has got something just to finish us off with.
Oh, no. I was going to say, weren't they like Britons or something like? I don't know.
Britons?
Yeah, because the English are like from Germany and stuff, like Anglo-Saxons and that.
Yeah.
You got the
It would have
Bretons
all
from
been still like
Brittany.
Celtic and that back
Yeah.
in the back in the aughts, in the aughts, BC and ADs.
I say, what is this place? It's rather cold, but rather green. Lovely. Let's have it. Because that's the way, they totally talked at that particular time.
They did.
Absolutely. I was there.
Yeah.
What am I talking about? Let's get
I confirm
back.
100%.
Ah, jeez. Okay, right. Before we get pulled into even more silliness. Right, so we're talking about either shutting off the oxygen and making people, pass out through suffocation, which, isn't exactly fast. Or using a containment field to keep them in there. Okay, fine. But there's still the problem of hostages.
They've got hostages, yeah.
Oh no, I was thinking more small individual containment fields.
Ooh, right,
Yeah, but
okay.
That's going to
Just-
be really precise.
Indeedy do.
Well, they don't have to be properly contained. We can have a little bit extra or a little bit not enough. Be great if, containment
Yeah,
field
but
severed
it
the
also-
weapons from them.
It also depends on how close to the hostages they're going to be.
Yeah.
Good point.
At the moment, I'm trying to think of a way, but it's got to do with our little hologram. He's got to. The
He needs
plan
his
has
hero
to
moment.
evolve.
Yeah, he
it's
needs his
got
moment,
to
yeah.
evolve around. Yeah, it has to evolve around him doing something, with us helping
Maybe-
out.
Maybe the EMD could be a distraction technique then, if he uses if he projects himself as Captain Sobek.
Oh, that's fun.
Ooh,
A
that's
ruse.
nice.
Are we talking hijinks?
We are talking hijinks. Spark, I do not approve of hijinks.
So, make him look like and sound like
Sobek.
Sobek.
Gotcha.
Say, we will get the captain. If they give up the hostages, we will give them the captain.
Interesting.
Oh yeah, give up our sick who need medical treatment for the captain whilst we negotiate.
All right. Okay.
I was going
Alright.
to say, get everybody out of there. And then the EMH can just, go into his little drone thing, get out, run, and then we can put a actual containment field around the sick bay.
Alrighty.
But I mean, what do you think, guys and gals?
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking of flooding the sick bay with something to knock them out.
Hmm.
Once the hostages are safe, just knock them out.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Get a containment field and then flood it with something to knock them out. The containment field you don't have to put the containment field up.
We
I'm
just
surprised.
think
I mean, we could have security teams
they've
around
been
everywhere.
pretty nifty with getting into Jeffrey's tube, so containment field,
Yeah.
and then heavy doses of Dr. Sott's finest tranquilizers.
They are really good. I've heard.
Yeah, I was moonlighting as a bartender before I was on the Coombs.
You know what? I could believe that. I wasn't always a
With that
barman.
goatee.
Cocktail.
I could definitely see him shaking some cocktails. Okay. So the plan is to at least have the emergency medical drone disguise itself as Captain Sobek, go in, try and get at the very least some of the injured folks out, and exchange himself as the captain for the injured folks and see where we go from there.
Yeah.
Am I good? Are we good with that, or any additions
Yeah.
to that?
No, I like that plan. That's good.
No, it sounds like a flawless, foolproof plan.
Okay, lovely.
What can go wrong? Oh, sorry, I said it.
So the only people, if
Oh,
they actually go for it, would be the MD, Dr. Uro, and Dr. Sott, because everyone else is injured.
Yep.
Quick, injure yourself.
I'm just making sure I get that
Well-
right. So they still technically will have 2 hostages.
Okay.
I
So,
thought the object was to get all of them out so we can either suffocate them.
We could still do the same plan, get most of them out, containment field, knock them out with oxygen deprivation. It's just that we've minimized the risk to hostages.
Hey.
Yeah, that's what we've got to do. Is we need to get the hostages out. So that's why I'm saying a trade for one captain for all of those, and it's something the captain would actually do.
you would imagine so, yes.
And after all this, Phlesc wants to write a complaint to Starfleet Command. These starships are really easy to be hacked. People just keep taking over different controls from us. Not very happy about this. A very stern, moany letter. Why do we
Okay.
keep getting hacked?
It happened again! Okay, so back down on deck 5, and yes, Dr. Sott has been ousted from his office as this Uldar Vess character sits in Sott's chair in Sott's office. He's just looking very pleased with himself. He's spinning his disruptor pistol around his finger, just doing the odd tricks with it. The rest of his men are just loitering around, keeping an eye on the hostages, whilst Dr. Sott himself is relegated to standing off in this corner here. And Uldar
It's a
Vess
living.
is... Sorry, go on.
It's a living.
As it turns out, Dr. Sott was also a model before he was a bartender, before he was a doctor, so he's good at striking poses and standing off to one side.
Man of many talents.
And now I've just got Dr. Sott's tastefully shot calendar in my head. I need help at this
Welcome.
point. Oh dear. There now needs to be a Dr. Sott calendar. I'm sorry. No, that's a lie. I'm not sorry. There's not a sorry bit of me. Okay, so Uldar Vess is there, twirling his disruptor pistol in his hands and just looking over at Dr. Sott. Gotta say, Doc, if If I were you, I'd be a bit upset about security procedures here on Starfleet vessels. As advanced as an Intrepid is, it still has the same access problems as most Starfleet ships. Honestly, you break into one Starfleet ship, you can break into any of them. And he holds up what looks to be one of those strange batons that the other folks have seen Orion's wield before, with the forked ends and the multi-button inputs on the haft. You'd think Starfleet, being so security-minded, would have a bit more in the way of, well, security, but here we are. You've seen one Starfleet ship, you've seen them all. We knew where to go, what to do, how to do it. You guys just don't make it difficult for us anymore. You should put in for better training, Doc. Your higher-ups are shortchanging you. There's a knock at the door. Which is odd, because you're pretty sure that the medical hologram knows how to use the intercom button to do the door tweet. Bleed it up! So even though I do have the emergency medical hologram here, his appearance is assumed to be that of Captain Sobek. Hello, I am... Hello, I am Captain Sobek. So... I am going to ask somebody here to nominate themselves to roll for the emergency medical hologram to see how convincing he can be at portraying the captain.
Wait,
Oh,
does
dear.
he have... He has determination! Use it!
We
Walking-
have used the emergency medical hologram enough times that he does have a value and therefore has a point of determination.
A walking, talking database of medical knowledge.
Interesting how he's going to get to use that to persuade people he's the captain.
Because he knows exactly how Sobek moves and how he has to replicate it.
From all the times he has to keep doing the medical upkeep of
Exactly.
yearly exams.
I gotcha. I approve.
And also take the momentum. Let's get this guy rolling, Max. I want this to work so much.
Alright, who's rolling for the EMH?
Go on, Chris. He's yours.
Okay.
Here we
We're
go.
looking at control and... Ooh, now, it's his poise, really, isn't it? It's his presence and his command that we're looking for.
Command, okay, cool. Did you say I was using a determination for this one?
Yeah, use his determination.
Considering
and
the
take...
EMH's presence and command, it might be a good idea too, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then take a load of momentum.
Cool. So I've got... How much, like... What affects
got-
the number of dice again? So, like...
So if you
You got
do
2
want
dice.
to use determination, then you're going to
Yep.
roll 1 less dice than the total that you amass. So if you do
And-
spend points of momentum in order to give yourself more dice,
Mm-hmm. I'll take 1 momentum, I guess, and so roll 3 dice then, yeah?
so you'll be rolling 2.
Right,
Plus
Check the box for
determination.
momentum, for determination, pardon me.
right.
Do you want to take another momentum? Roll 4 dice in total, so...
If you want to
Determination
roll
plus
4
3.
dice, you will be using all 3 momentum points currently left in the momentum pool.
Alright, so I'll
Oh,
roll the
do
2
it.
for now with the determination, is it? Or...
Oh, I say roll 3. Spend
Go
the
mad.
momentum. Go mad.
Roll 3. Okay, roll
Let-
3 dice.
Let
determination.
the
All
the
or
drone
nothing.
work.
And then the determination took part.
Sorry, it's been a while since I've done a complicated roll like this.
That's-
Am I
that's
rolling 4
fine,
dice
that's
now
fine.
with determination?
You are now
or-
rolling 3 dice plus determination, and strangely
Cool,
enough,
okay.
none of the emergency medical hologram's foci ever covered impersonating the captain. So,
Thespianism. Okay, here we go. That's my next focus for him. That's my next science
oh.
project.
Oh.
So the EMH affects the deadpan, emotionless, robotic cant of a Vulcan. Tries to put on as much commanding presence as he possibly can. Vest does not get up from behind, from the chair, from the office, and just goes, "Ah, Captain, so great to finally have you. Now we can start discussing you exiting my ship. In faith, I do not love thee with mine own eyes too green. TBH."
That was meant to come from the EMD.
Ah,
Really channeling the, the actor.
yes, indeed. My Robert Picardo isn't all that great, so I'm not going to try. Plus, he'd be Robert Picardo pretending to be the actor of Captain Sobek, so I'm sure there'd be a brilliant bit of acting, overacting involved. But at the moment, I'm not going to do it because I don't want to dishonor Mr. Picardo. But yes. So the EMH, as Captain Sobek, demands at the very least the release of the hostages in exchange for himself as a hostage. At which point Vest goes, "That's not how this is going to work." And so the EMH comes back with, "Well, at least give us the injured people, because they are of no use to you." And because of the sheer amount of successes you got, you at the very least managed to negotiate that those who are injured can be escorted out of sickbay so that the more able-bodied remain and can remain as hostages. So we will have that. So Councillor Sachs and one of the injured engineers do get to leave, but you still have a small cluster of folks. And so this is where things get weird. As we go back to Deck 1, whilst all this is going on. As I hasten to note that there's very little going on with the actual sound at the moment, so I'm going to just turn that up a bit. As whilst this is going on and folks are prepared to hit the button for the containment field or whatever it is that you decide to do, that's when stuff starts to get a bit on the strange side. Gerkow.
Yes.
Just like before, you can hear strange whispering just at the edge of your hearing. At first it's like, who said that? To which point Dufresne or Aversion go, well, we didn't say anything, so. And so Gerkow just dismisses it. But then the whisperings come back there at the edge of your hearing. It's like, who's doing that? And just as Gerkow is looking around, what is the star date? That is a good question. We are in Shadows and Whispers. 50449. Just as Gerkow starts looking around for where these whispers are coming from, she hears a very distinct voice. "Get out of that Jeffries tube, Ensign. You're late for your mandatory phaser practice." 0.9, Liz. At which point Gerkow looks around to see that she's actually kneeling down inside of a Jeffries tube. She has her old uniform on with the single pip for Ensign, and her commanding officer, or one of the senior officers, I should say, from one of her previous ships, is there beckoning her out.
Okay. I'm gonna come out and see what's happening then. This isn't where I expected to be.
No, indeed. You're back on one of your first postings, which was an Excelsior-class ship, and there are people walking past. You recognize the ship, and the officer was a... what's the name of that species again? Not Takarian. Tellarite. Let's go with the... it's not Aquan, but it's the guy with the webbed fingers. It might be Aquan, actually. Is it... Okay, I'm going to go for Arcadian because I can't remember, and they are a blue-skinned aquatic species. Bipedal, but of course he's got a breathing apparatus on over his gills, so he can actually exist outside of water for a time. And yes, this was the security officer of the one of the first ships that Gerkow was actually on. And just as Gerkow accepts the hand up to get her out of the Jeffries tube, the security chief changes. Rather than the Arcadian that you expected, it's actually Lieutenant Garrow. You don't want to be late for phaser practice, Ensign. Important part of your training.
What's going on?
So this will take us to... I will get back to Dr. Sott in just a moment. I am going to go to Tavish, which is... replay in the past. Tavish back down in engineering, trying to deal with the aftermath of the attack, and trying to work very slowly on getting the breach in the intermix chamber fixed, whilst other folks are running around trying to rehouse certain parts of the core. Tavish finds herself rounding a corner, expecting to see the warp core as she comes out of one of the side parts of engineering, and then finds she's not looking at the warp core at all. She's looking at this glowing organic mass in the middle of this immense pulsating chamber. And Tavish then realizes that she's wearing an EVA suit. And as she looks around, Tavish can also see other people in EVA suits. There's Phlesc, there's Gerkow, there's even Captain Sobek. And they are currently engaged in a battle with these large amoeboid blobs that all have got these black, infected-looking veins streaking through them. They're fending them off with either fists and feet or with phasers, whilst Tavish herself is holding an improvised explosive device made from a phaser rifle. You should remember this.
I do, yeah. This is when we lost Captain Sobek.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, this is when... Oh.
Hmm.
Oh, she's going to look down at that phaser.
Is she going to do anything?
Well, even if this is in the past, she doesn't want to change the past. Well, except for one thing. She's going to do exactly what she did last time.
Okay.
She's going to put the device where she put it last time, which I think was
On
right
top of
down.
the mycelial construct, yep.
Yeah. But before she does that, she says for everybody to actually leave, and she'll be right behind them.
Ah, so she makes sure they leave first.
Yes.
Ha 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 ha. Which means I would like Tavish to give me a fitness and security test to see how fast you can leg it.
Oh.
No problem, Liz?
The only mistake she... Oh. The biggest regret in her life, that's at the moment. What was it? Fitness? Oh,
And security.
This is not...
Yes,
this is
this was why Tavish failed the first time and needed Captain Sobek to rescue her, to get her out of it rather than the other way around. Alrighty.
Oh no.
So this time Tavish says, everybody else out now, which gives them time to fall back. Tavish then throws arms the device, throws it down, makes sure that it starts to tick away, and herself starts to leg it as much as she can in this nearly weightless environment. And the scene plays out a little differently. Tavish gets into the mycelial construct's main trunk and starts to push herself along at 0G as much as she can by bouncing off the walls, but she doesn't manage to keep up very well at all, and so Sobek turns around to notice that Tavish is way behind, tries to make a grab for her, but then the mycelial construct falls back into starts to fall back into its home dimension, and the Captain Sobek and the away team get beamed away, leaving Tavish stranded behind. And that's when that particular vision of the past will finish, as we go to Phlesc.
Hello.
Phlesc momentarily leaves the bridge in order to coordinate with other repair teams going around, and with some of the security teams coming back and forth, saying that we've still got a couple of roaming. We've still got that one roaming Orion, but we think we're zeroing in on where he is, sir. Which allows Phlesc to return to the bridge to find out how things are actually going. As soon as Phlesc turns the corner, let's say, to come back onto the bridge, he gets onto the bridge, but finds it not damaged. The lights are all up, everything's looking pretty much as immaculate as it was before. But there's something different. As soon as he walks onto the bridge, besides it being not damaged again, a nearby Lieutenant Dufresne goes, "Exo?" And then Phlesc's attention is drawn towards the main view screen as the whole ship takes some kind of impact. Phlesc looks up and sees that there are, on the main view screen, there appear to be Orion Raider ships attacking what appears to be a Klingon supply ship. A simple courier-type vessel. Cargo ship, that's what I was trying to think of. And there's also what appears to be a Klingon ship. Looks like it could be a Cavort-class battle cruiser that's also being attacked. It's trying to keep the Orion ships away from this convoy of cargo ships, as the Orions are swooping in, trying to keep the Klingon ship occupied, whilst also going for the cargo ships.
Phlesc just wondering what is going on.
Captain Sobek is not on the bridge. Neither is Lieutenant Commander Lian Zhang. Somebody else appears to be sitting in the command seat. From your position up on this part of the bridge, you can't see who's there. So when Phlesc comes down here to see who's actually sitting in the captain's chair, it's actually Traza. Wearing Starfleet uniform, but with a Klingon house sash across her. And captain's pips.
So what's going on?
What do you mean what's going on? We're trying to defend this. We're trying to defend the convoy ship here. The convoy ships. Get to your station and help me keep this from spiraling out of control.
Wait, what? I'm having a moment. What's the star date, Captain?
What is the star date? And just as Phlesc is looking at trying to find the star date, that's when we're going to zip zap zop off to somewhere else. Liz, you with us? Or are you still
Mhm.
not back? You are back. Excellent. This is where we jump to Bonnet.
Oh, yay.
After having dealt with the Orions, Bonnet has gone back to her station at helm, not feeling terribly helpful. But then feels the ship rock a little bit and looks at her instrumentation panel to find it lit up, which is partly a relief because it was down for most part, and so Bonnet finally finds herself able to do something. Looking at the controls, it seems that, the ship is currently engaged in some kind of conflict, but the whole layout is slightly different, as is the seat, and as Bonnet looks at herself, she finds she's once again back in the in her seat aboard the USS Greenway. Looking up, she sees the view screen in front of her, and sure enough, there are those Zenkathi ships trying to box in the Greenway with a flanking maneuver. But from behind her, rather than hearing the yelling voice of the captain of the Greenway, she hears Captain Sobek. I will get to that, Mark. Captain Sobek says, "We need to get out of this situation before the Zenkathi flank us."
Working on it!
So, this was where Bonnet attempted an unusual, very risky, very daring helm maneuver to try and keep the Greenway from being boxed in by the Zenkathi and looping around to an unexpected position. So,
And this is where the body bluff was founded.
the Bonnet bluff indeed. Does Bonnet want to redo the Bonnet bluff just like it was done that time, or is she going to try something different?
Oh no, she's definitely gonna keep doing it.
Right then, can I get a daring and con maneuver from you, please?
Propulsion.
Definitely with a focus.
Yeah, alright.
Ooh.
Oh, Legion of Honor.
Legion of Honor.
Just
All
love
right.
Tavish the trade.
So, yes, it was. It came right for me. So, yes. Bonnet performs the very, very unrefined, earliest prototype version of the Bonnet bluff and essentially goes full speed to look like she's going to ram one of the Zenkathi ships, but pulls out away from impacting it at the last possible moment. Which, of course, makes the Zenkathi... It means that the Greenway keeps taking a hammering from the Zenkathi ships as they try and close in, but the lead Zenkathi ship then pulls away dramatically as it tries to avoid a collision course from the Greenway, thinking the Greenway has lost its mind and is trying to perform a suicide run. And so Bonnet completes her first ever Bonnet bluff, which does actually catch the Zenkathi ship, so there's this horrible screeching sound of two hulls meeting. But it does put the Greenway on the outside of the Zenkathi's flanking maneuver and puts them in open space so they can either try and get away or continue the fight from a different angle. And finally, we come to sickbay and Dr. Sott.
Aye.
Dr. Sott is currently still in this situation, watching the EMH pull off this bluff as best as it possibly can. Dr. Sott is just kind of drumming his fingers, waiting to see what happens, but just as an idle fiddle, notices there's still a data pad next to him that was the readings taken on Chancellor? No. I've promoted her. Councillor Sachs. And just reminding him that she does need to have a medical checkup when he's next able to make sure that she's okay, because a head wound on a betazoid is nothing to be sniffed at. But when he looks back at it, he finds that the data pad is gone, which is strange in his own way. It was there, but now it's gone. But the next thing that Dr. Sott notices is that as Uldar Vess is there, still sat in Sott's chair, in Sott's office, making all of these ridiculous demands and negotiations with the emergency medical hologram, Vess actually puts down his disruptor pistol at one point and starts gesticulating wildly and dramatically, still trying to make a big show of how in control he is. And that's when Sott notices that the moment that the disruptor pistol is put down, it's not a disruptor pistol anymore. It's a hyperspray.
Huh. An illusion?
You're not sure. Nevertheless, I think that is where we're going to leave it for today. The hostage situation is still ongoing, but there's a plan to do something. We already have the distraction with the EMH. You've gotten the injured hostages out at least, but now something extra is going on, something weird. People are experiencing these weird, are they hallucinations? Are they being displaced in time? What is going on? So if that's the case, what's going on with these items suddenly changing or going walkabouts? We will have to see if the crew of the Combs can actually take advantage of this sudden shift in circumstances. But to do so, we'll have to wait until next week. So I'm just going to ask, are folks all available next week? Everybody still here?
Yep.
I think so.
Dave, you still with us next week?
I am indeed.
Excellentes. In which case, we shall have to see what is actually going the flip on with all of this weirdness. Can the Combs crew get the ship back into some kind of working order? Can they get the Orions off of their ship, or at the very least contained? What is going on with that aperture in space? We shall have to wait and find out until next time. Until then...
Too much blood wine.
We're talking more than blood wine, considering the weird stuff that's been going on here. Nevertheless, we will ask you to do like the Vulcans do, which is live long and prosper, and, well, you know, give good speeches as to how to negotiate a hostage release. Maybe even pretend to be a Vulcan by adopting your best analysis of how Vulcans move and whatnot. But nevertheless, we shall also ask you to engage in infinite diversity in infinite combinations, especially with how backwards a lot of people seem to be going at the moment in time. But that's why we need Star Trek, folks, to give us hope for the future, as well as a model as to how specifically some people can maybe lay off the tyranny a little bit. Who knows? We can only hope. That's why we need Star Trek as an example to everybody. What we can achieve, what we can do if we all cooperate. However, we shall have to wait to see what happens, both in the literal and figurative sense. Until then, I will thank everybody who watched either of the streams. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you're watching this on YouTube later on and you enjoyed it, then please consider giving us a like, because it helps not only our channel but also everybody else who does actual plays of role-playing games and who do anything to do with Star Trek, because it's all about the algorithm, our Lord and Master. Until next week then, same time and same place, we will catch you here to do the resolution of this, the middle episode of our 3-episode trilogy. Until that time, thank you very much, folks, for tuning in. We will see you next time as we close Halo.